Coda got me thinking about it. Dad, you and Rusty were two of the greatest, road course racers in NASCAR. Um, what do you think that's all about? I mean, is it, growing up in the Ozarks and driving the windy country roads to on the way to ASA races? Because I mean, y'all didn't cut your teeth on road course racing. So how do you explain that?
You know, I can't explain Rusty's. I don't know really where that came from, but certain drivers had knacks for it. Uh, Definitely Ricky Rudd was also a master. Bill Elliott was pretty darn good too. I think his first win came at Riverside, if I'm not mistaken. So there were certain drivers that really had a knack for it. For me, yeah, I think it was driving the dirt roads, in the Concord, Arkansas area, Floral, and all up through there. Um, because I like to drive fast, and they were dirt roads, and uh, I just drove as fast as I could go without getting in the ditch, which is exactly what I did road racing as well. So there was really no difference in that. But then comes along Jeff Gordon, and he kind of blows all of us away in that respect. And I think it's just certain drivers have a certain extra knack. All drivers, all NASCAR drivers have a knack, but it was more awkward for most than it was. It just came natural for a number of us. So
Yeah, that's just always been fascinating to me that you and Rusty both, I mean, two of the biggest names in stock car racing in the Midwest from that era. And then you make it in NASCAR, and you just so happen to be two of the best road course racers in NASCAR. So, and being from Arkansas and Missouri, it's just, I don't know, it's always been fascinating to me.
well, there's so much fun to talk about Rusty and his talent and the contrast between Rusty and I. There's so much in our book, uh, about Rusty and I and our background, our racing together, racing against each other, me crew chiefing him in a race, and all the different things. But Rusty's approach, even though he was a car guy, he was a different kind of car guy than I was. I was in there doing the maintenance, packing the wheel bearings, all everything like that. Rusty was on the phone. Uh, he was networking, and his goal was to get to NASCAR, just like mine was. But his approach was slightly different. He was a promoter, self promoter, which got him, uh, you know, labeled sometimes as a guy that was maybe brash or arrogant. Rusty was not. Rusty was just promoting himself. He was trying to make it.
Yeah,
He was a little guy from St. Louis area that wanted to be a big time NASCAR guy, and yeah, it was so much fun talking about Rusty in the book.
he was a marketer.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that was for sure. So, as far as road course racing goes, you know, in your NASCAR career, you only raced at Watkins, Glen, and Sonoma. Which of those two did you prefer? And also, out of all the road course races they race on today, what would be one that you wished you could have raced on back in the 90s?
Oh, I certainly wish we could have run Laguna Seca. I hate it that I never was able to compete on that racetrack. Being out there with the IROC cars and driving on it was a real treat last summer, and that would have been incredible to have a NASCAR race there or something like that.
Yeah, that
Um,
corkscrew.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and everybody said just line up with that tree. I never saw that tree at the corkscrew. I never saw any tree. I wasn't looking for no damn tree. I was trying to look right through my dash to see the track below. So I never saw a tree. But I always, funny you ask about road course racing. I have had lots of drivers come up and ask me, "Hey, what marker are you braking at?" Like at the Glen for turn one and into the bus stop. I said, "Hell, I don't know. I go till I get scared." Uh, so I never was a visual. I never looked at markers, and so many drivers do. But that was in the corkscrew. I wasn't looking straight ahead at the trees. Now I was trying to see where the track was going to be when I came popped over that hill. So my favorite track of those two, Sonoma and the Glen, was the Glen because it was a super speedway of road course racing, and Sonoma was a Martinsville. There were flat wheel spin corners. And dude, I'll be the first to tell you that is my weak suit because the only way I know how to go fast is give it gas. And so I gave it plenty of gas, and I never had my tires last very long at Martinsville or Sonoma. We did run good at Sonoma, but you didn't have to worry about wheel spin at the Glen, so you could just haul. You were so fast, and your abuse of the rear tires were not that much more than the abuse on the front tires. So, yeah, I that was my favorite. The Glen was my favorite.
Now, it was at Sonoma, right, that you and Jack Roush, you tell that story about he asked you why you were braking early. Tell that story.
So it was I think it was the first year out there, '89. So it was our second year with Jack and I, and of course he'd been out there with his cars and racing and stuff. And so he's not timing the lap times; he's timing where the passing zone is, which was going into 11, the last turn there. And I'm getting beat. So he comes over and he says, "Hey, you're getting beat down here." My lap times were respectable. Getting beat down here. Well, I didn't want to hear that. I was doing all I could do. And then, after the next time out, he comes over and he says, "Hey, you're getting beat down here, and it looks like it's on braking. Uh, why are you braking early? Why don't you know? Why are you not going deeper?" I said, "Because I'll wreck." And Jack's smart. He says, "Why will you wreck?" Hell, I don't know. I just know I'll wreck if I go further. And, he was asking the right questions. He didn't tell me what to do. He was asking the right question. And it's like, well, let me think on that, and let me think it through slowly, and let me go back out and see. And sure enough, it was too much rear brake. But, all I was doing was driving the car to the max of its ability, and I wasn't, you know, doing the critical thinking of how to improve braking in that turn. So yeah, Jack loves to tell that story. He's such a smart guy and a cunning guy, and rather than just come in there and tell you everything, he he asks the right questions many times at road courses early on. Then we got to a point, by the mid '90s where he didn't need to ask questions anymore. But that was his way of teaching me without telling me what to do.
Didn't he say when you saw him a few months ago at Barrett Jackson that he was getting a little irritated with you that test, and that's why he asked that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, because he knew and I didn't, and he also knew I was resistant to be you know, told what to do or whatever. And I was going absolutely as fast as you could go through turn 11 with that piece the way it was. And his question is, what needs to be done so that you can do more? And I would have done more if those changes were done to the car. But if I didn't tell Steve and Robin that what I needed, then we wouldn't go faster. So um, that was a learning lesson for sure. But we had single master cylinder on the car, so you couldn't adjust it other than Of course, we took the rear brake pads out and cut some of the pad off. So that's how we decreased the brakes because it was a single Ford master cylinder at the time. We didn't have dual master cylinders with a balance bar to adjust. So of course that came the next year. you know we came with those, and then we were able to make adjustments, and then we wound up putting uh, a cable up so I could adjust it while driving the car. And of course everybody does that, and everybody has that now. But in the early years of road course racing in NASCAR, a lot of people just took their oval stuff and made it into a road course car and just went and kind of let it be what it was. And when some people started specializing in it, Ricky Rudd, for example, and Bill, some of these guys started running really good, and then their teams started making cars that were more specific to right and left hand turns. Then it forced everyone to up their game, and so then the road uh, racing era really took off. The specialized cars and drivers doing other races besides NASCAR races to get more time and in road course situations.
Well, I think it's really fascinating how, Jack was able to take, your raw talent as a road racer and then, take his expertise from his road racing background. And you guys made one heck of a team. He was able to really improve your, raw talent and skill on road courses. And you guys, during your career had some phenomenal stats at Watkins, Glen, and Sonoma, particularly the Glen.